there was a man named Cornelius, a centurion, and what was known as the Italian regiment, and he and all his family were devout and God-fearing. He gave generously to those in need and prayed to God regularly. Let's stop right there. Cornelius, he's not Jewish. He's of the Italian regiment, Roman centurion over many soldiers. It says he was a God-fearer. That meant those were all the non-Jewish people who still, they knew there was something happening with Israel, and they loved the God of Israel as much as they could. They didn't know all the things. They weren't necessarily following the law, but they were praying to God. They were seeking, and that's him. And he's a Roman occupier, and yet he knows that this God is true. And yet he's staying at Caesarea. Caesarea is many of you will see it when we go there. That is right on the water. It's right on the Mediterranean. It's the Roman fort. It's the main place where the Romans were stationed there. It's the outreach, the port to the world. And here God is going to do something to open up the gospel to the world. And most of you are in the Lord because of what happened here. As we go on here, verse 3. One day about 3 p.m, he had a vision. He distinctly saw an angel of God who came to him and said, Cornelius. Cornelius. Now, it's one thing, he's talking to God, he's praying, he's been praying, as it says here, he's faithful in prayer, but now he gets an answer from him. It's one thing to talk to God, it's another thing for God to talk to you. He hears an answer. Cornelius stared at him in fear. He says, what is it, Lord? He asked. The angel answered, your prayers and gifts to the poor have come up as a memorial offering before God. Now send men to Joppa to bring back a man named Simon, who is called Peter. He's staying with Simon the tanner, whose house is by the sea. Says, send now to a man, he doesn't know who it is, Peter, or in Aramaic he was called Kepha, or in his Hebrew name, Shimon. And he knew, God knew exactly. Peter had no idea what was going on. Peter just happened to be in that city, had no idea. It's a setup from God. God is going to touch Peter, and God is going to, and right now they're directing a non-Jewish person to go to a Jewish person, and now Peter could reject the whole thing, but before that happens, God is going to intervene in Peter's life. When the angels who spoke to him, verse 7, had gone, Cornelius called 2 of his servants and a devout soldier who was with one of his attendants. He told them everything that had happened and sent to Joppa. About noon the following day, as they were on their journey and approaching the city, Peter went up on the roof to pray. Why did Peter go up on the roof to pray? Because God planned something to happen on the roof. He needed Peter on the roof, and Peter didn't know this was of God. He just knew he wanted to pray, and he wanted to go on the roof. But the mystery of free will and predestination, God knew it. Peter didn't know it, but he went up there, and it all coalesces together. Verse 10, he became hungry. And this is part of it. God knew he'd be hungry at that moment. God is even going to use his hunger. And he wanted something to eat. And while the meal was being prepared, he fell into a trance. Peter is hungry. God is going to use his hunger. God uses our hunger. God uses your emptiness, your longing to fulfill his will. Peter's hungry. Peter is kosher.
To find out how you can receive more of Jonathan's teachings, to receive special free gifts, or get in touch, go to hopeoftheworld.org or call toll-free 1-800-YESHUA-1. That's hopeoftheworld.org or call 1-800-YESHUA-1. That's 1-800-937-4821. You can also get more at Jonathan Cahn's Facebook page or write us direct at Hope of the World, Box 1111, Lodi, New Jersey 07644, USA. Hope of the World is dedicated to the goal of spreading God's Word and salvation to every land and people. We do this by spreading the Word throughout the world and sponsoring compassion projects to the most poor and needy around the earth. To get in touch or have a part in God's work, just write to Hope of the World, Box 1111, Lodi, New Jersey 07644, USA. Or go to hopeoftheworld.org or call 1-800-YESHUA-1. That's 1-800-937-4821.